Hello beautiful humans, my name is Taryn and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Bookmas Day 3. If you didn't know, I am doing 12 days of Bookmas, so I am uploading a video every other day until the 25th of December. And today I'm going to be recommending you books that I 1000% think you need to put on your Christmas list. Put on just your wish list in general. Gift to other readers. These are just books that I think everyone should read eventually. Okay? So where to start? Let's start with light, fluffy rom-coms. So first, let's start off with Literally Anything by Sarah Adams. She writes the cutest, just like Hallmark movies in a book ever. I love them. Right here we have When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. These are actually like they go together. Okay, and they're just, oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain it. I just remember like having a smile on my face the entire time I was reading these two books. Okay, so freaking cute. When in Rome actually takes place in like Rome, Kentucky. Rome, Kentucky. I'm so smart. And Amelia is a national like pop star and she just needs a little break, so she finds herself in Rome, Kentucky, where she meets where she meets Noah, who is like this broody baker guy, and her car breaks down outside of his house, and of course there's no room at the one little inn in that town, so he allows her to stay with him, and it's just adorable. And then Practice Makes Perfect follows Amelia's bodyguard and Noah's sister, and this right here was everything. It was everything. Oh my gosh. Annie is like the goodiest of good girls ever. Like usually keeps a tally of her family like cussing. Every time they cuss they have to like pay money, that kind of stuff. And Will is like, you know, the tattooed designated bad boy bodyguard. And God, I loved them. I loved them so much. These were so cute. And then I have Literally Anything again by Abby Jimenez. She writes the most heartwarming, beautiful romances I have ever read, but these two right here, Part of Your World and Yours Truly, are two of my absolute favorites. The things that these books discuss and the way that she goes about writing them is beautiful. Like, oh God, I don't even. And the men are the sweetest. Like their acts of service, their kindness, the way that they think about their women is wonderful. And then, okay, I'm always like, I have so many book boyfriends, you know. Brianna is my queen. She's my favoriteest book girlfriend I have ever read in my entire life, because Jacob, the main guy in this, he suffers from really bad anxiety, social anxiety, and all of these things. Like, I am Jacob. I found so many examples of me in Jacob throughout this book, and the way that Brianna handled his anxiety and his social anxiety, oh my God, it was beautiful. And then the last, like, I don't know, funny rom-coms, even though this kind of has a little darker bit of it, not really, Emily Henry, Beach Read. This is my favorite Emily Henry book. I love every single second of this book. This follows Gus and January. I did reread this year, and God, it like somehow it got better. Okay, Gus and January are actually authors. Yes, they're both authors. January writes like romance, like women's fiction, and Gus writes kind of like thrillers, dark mysteries, dark stuff. Okay, and they're both kind of like in a rut right now, and they end up living next to each other during the summer, and they switch genres to see if like they can write each other's genre. And it's just it's kind of like enemies to lovers, but not really enemies, you know, just like The banter in this book is top tier. I do recommend any of Emily Henry's books, but I just picked my favorite one. Okay, moving, still in the romance category here, but less rom-com-y. Actually, no. This next one, it literally says a grumpy boss romantic comedy, so I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say here. But somehow they're on different levels, okay? By a Thread by Lucy Score. I'm a Lucy Score stan until I die. She's my favorite, but this book right here is top tier. God, I love this book. I am on literally a life journey to make everyone read this book because it is so good. And trust me, everybody that has read this book has told me that it's amazing, okay? So I'm here to do you a favor. Read this book, gift it to somebody, anybody, please. I need you to. It's so good. It's so good. This follows Dominic and Allie. Allie was a waitress. She kind of had like a bunch of jobs, and Dominic is this big boss, you know, grumpy guy, and he ends up getting her fired from her job, which is, God, the reason why is so funny to me. Oh God, you have to read it. It's so good. And Dominic's mom finds Allie after, like, they had lunch in her pizza shop, and then he got her fired, and his mom was there, and his mom went and found Allie afterwards and was like, hey, you should work with us. Like, I'm so sorry for my dickhead of a son. And she ends up working with him, and it's just, again, banter, top tier. And then Dominic's groveling at the end. Pick it up. It's so good. It's so good. And then just this year, I read a Liz Tomford book, and now I'm absolutely obsessed with this woman. Holy shit, okay? So we have her entire Windy City series. Like, everyone needs to read it, okay? We have Mile High, The Right Move, and Caught Up, and they are all just pure perfection. They are all sports romance. So we have hockey, basketball, baseball. I need more baseball romances in my life. Like, truly, I need more baseball romances in my life. These were all perfect. I mean, let's just look at my tabs. Look at how many tabs. Look at how many tabs. That means that it's utter perfection. So Mile High follows Stevie and Xander's, and it's kind of like opposites attract. Yeah, I would say opposites attract. This is probably my least favorite in the series, but still I give it 5 stars. So what is that really saying, that it's my least favorite? I don't really know. Just that, oh God, so good. And then we have The Right Move, which is fake dating and like roommates type of thing, right? Like roommates to lovers, whatever. Also amazing. I was sobbing my eyes out solely because of how much love was in this book. Okay, and then we have Caught Up, my absolute favorite out of the thing. First, probably because it's baseball. Okay, that's fine. But this is also a nanny romance, a single dad romance, and I can't. Okay, so this is about Kai and Miller, and Miller is a chef, and Kai is a single dad baseball player, and he needs a nanny, and Miller's crazy, and she just brings so much joy into his life, and he falls so hard, and it is just perfect. Okay, please pick them up. And we'll move into more, we're on our way to dark romance. Now I'm going to recommend you the most toxic romances I have ever read in my entire life, but cannot get enough of, okay? And that is Magnolia Parks, The Universe by Jessa Hastings. So I picked up, just to show you, Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. They're literally, oh God, I don't even know. If you love Gossip Girl and that toxicity that is Chuck and Blair, you will love this series. It's like socialites in across the pond, and just BJ and Magnolia's romance hurts so much. I cried so much reading these books. So this one follows Magnolia and BJ and their fucked up romance, and then Daisy Hates follows Daisy and Christian and their fucked up romance, but you also get Daisy's older brother's point of view, Julian, who is the hottest man alive. Okay, now is he alive? No. Is he a fictional character? Yes, but that's okay. That's okay. And Julian's also like head mafia guy. Oh god, you need to read these books. Only if you like toxicity, okay? If you do not like that, you will hate these books, okay? Because that is the one main thing that these books are, is toxic. But if you're down to read about somebody else's toxic relationship, here you go. These two. It's the same timeline. Like, these two books are the same timeline, but different points of views. And I thought that I would hate that, but I didn't hate it at all. In fact, it's the most amazing thing in the entire world. And now moving into dark romance. I'm going to start with Jennifer Hartman. Is amazing. Okay, she wrote Still Beating and Lotus, and she does have another one that's like in this world that just came out that I need to read as well. This is a lot darker. Still Beating follows two characters who, oh god, this follows Cora and Dean, and Dean is actually married to Cora's sister, but something happens where Cora and Dean are put into a absolutely disgusting situation, and from there things happen. It is heart-wrenching. You will want to vomit while reading it. Please check trigger warnings. You will cry your eyes out if you have a heart. Amazing. And then we have Lotus, who follows a character that is very, very, very briefly mentioned in Still Beating. Like, you do not need to read one or the other first in this scenario. This is less hard to read. There are still some topics that you should check triggers on, but this story, like, when I say the love in this book was good, the love in this book was like what people, this sounds terrible because of the situation that they were put in, but like this is what like people dream about having, like the way that these characters love each other. Oh my god, it hurt my soul. It was so amazing. And then I will also, I've decided that I just won't die until everyone reads this series, and that is the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. Oh god, this entire series is on Kindle Unlimited, so I highly recommend that you have to pick it up, okay? It's just god, it's so good. It's actually 5 books in the series, but all of them are less than like 270 pages, I think, every book in the series. This is like the entire series in one book. My copy from Amazon absolutely sucks, so be careful when you buy from Amazon. But this follows Lana, who is a serial killer, and she just happens to fall in love with the head guy on the case. And she's a serial killer for a reason. Again, there are topics in this book that will make you want to vomit, will make your stomach hurt, will make you sob, will make you have nightmares. Check triggers, please, please, please. But Lana is like the love of my life. She is perfect. Think Dexter, but kind of reversed. That's what this is. Oh my god, it's so good. I need to do a reread. Truly, I need to do a reread. It is so amazing. I'm sorry that that's the only adjective that I have to explain these books. Now we're on to books that if you want to cry, you should read. We all love a good cry, okay? And if that's just a me thing, don't call me out on it. But here we have Kristen Higgins' Pack Up the Moon. God, when I read this, and I tell you that I cried from page 6 to page 448. I truly mean it. God, do I truly mean it. This follows Joshua and Lauren, but yeah, I guess it follows Joshua and Lauren. Let me see what I can say, okay? Actually, I'm gonna just read the back to you because I do not want to spoil a single thing. So it says, Joshua and Lauren are the perfect couple. Newly married, they're wildly in love, each on a successful and rewarding career path. Then Lauren is diagnosed with a terminal illness. As Lauren's disease progresses, Joshua struggles to make the most of the time he has left with his wife and to come to terms with his future. A future without the only woman who's ever loved. I'm gonna cry. He's so consumed with finding a way to avoid the inevitable ending that he never imagines his life after Lauren. But Lauren has a plan to keep her husband moving forward, a plan hidden in the letters she leaves him. In those letters, one for every month in the year after her death, Lauren leads Joshua on a journey through pain, anger, and denial. It's a journey that will take Joshua from his attempt at a dinner party for family and friends to getting rid of their bed, from a visit with a psychic medium to a kiss with a woman who isn't Lauren. As his grief makes room for laughter and new relationships, Joshua learns Lauren's most valuable lesson. Whew. The path to happiness doesn't follow a straight line. Oh God. So yeah, reading this book was a lot. It deals with grief, obviously. You actually get to read Lauren's letters, which is super, super sad. And you get to follow Josh on his journey of getting through his grief. And it is so, so, so good. Oh God, I need to get myself under control. And next we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I will recommend anything by TJ Klune if you listen to the audiobook. Sometimes when I was physically reading it, they have the longest chapters in the entire world, so long chapters and me don't mix really well, especially because I'm a human that likes to read an entire chapter before I can stop reading. But the audiobooks for these are so good. The narrator is my favorite human in the entire world because the way that he portrays the characters and his voices is utter perfection. This also happens to deal with grief. Our main guy Wallace dies within like the first 30 pages of the book probably, and then he like gets sent to pretty much like a halfway house between like heaven and the real world because he can't come to terms with his death, and it's so amazing. I don't know how else to explain it to you. I also cried the entire time I read this book, but that's mostly because like just grief in general for me hits hard and I cry. Oh God, Lord have mercy. Get the audiobooks for these. They're so, his books are so good. Let's talk about some YA series. So first we have, and I will never stop recommending this series, Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Another series that you just have to get the audiobooks for and just take you along for the ride. The audiobook is amazing. The story is amazing. This follows Jax and Evangeline, and it's not even so much the romance part of this, even though the romance is my favorite thing out of this entire series, but the way that Stephanie Garber writes is so lyrical and magical and really immerses you in the story, and it is amazing. And the series is officially finished, so you can read all three, or you can gift all three, or you can get all three, and you can have the whole thing all together. This does kind of follow, so Jax is a character from the Caraval series, which was the series that was written before this, but I don't think that you need to read the Caraval series in order to read this. However, you do get a lot more of Jax's backstory, and Jax is one of my favorite characters, so I liked Caraval, but again, you don't need to in any way, shape, or form read that before this. Next, we have the Shatter Me series by Tahera Mafi. This is like dystopian, I think. You follow Juliet, who has superpowers. There's kids in this world that have superpowers, and she was tortured for a lot of her life and sent to like a prison for these powers until one day finally she is let out, and then just shit hits the fan and it's insane. This is probably my least favorite in the series, and if you've read the series then you know why, because Lord have mercy does it get 50 bajillion times better after this book. It is so good, and the writing is, the way that it's written is so easy to binge. Yeah, yes, you need to read it. Also, there are novellas that go in between like every single book. I didn't read any of them, but I think I might go back and read some of them just because I miss these series and these characters. But yeah, they're definitely not necessary if you don't, I don't know, if you don't want to read them, or if you don't want to put them on your, I don't know, okay? But it's amazing. And then the last YA series I have to recommend is the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Think Criminal Minds, but YA. It's amazing. You follow 4 gifted kids who are working, 5 gifted kids who are working with the FBI to solve cases, and literally, guys, I pride myself on being able to guess the way a book ends, like the twists and turns in a thriller. I am always like, oh my god, I guessed it, that's so cool. Like, because I've watched 50 million episodes of Criminal Minds, truly. I love when I can figure it out. This series, I could not figure a single freaking thing out. And the end, oh my god, the last book will have your jaw on the floor. Insane. I never wanted the series to end. Like, seriously, Jennifer, I need you to write more. I need it in my life, please. That will bring me so much joy. And I know a million people who will also say the exact same thing. This series, this world is so good. Okay, and last but not least, I have 2 thrillers. Thrillers are very hard for me to rate 5 stars, so when I do rate them 5 stars, I tend to recommend them all of the freaking time. The first one I have is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I was nervous to read this book because I read her book In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and I didn't like it at all, but this one, I listened to it on audio and it was, I don't know if it's because of like one of the main aspects that was in this book that I found it so intriguing, because I find that topic super intriguing, but I ate up every single part of this. I was never bored listening to it. It was like listening to a true crime podcast. And I guess a part of this is kind of a true crime podcast. It was, so good. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna read it. While in college in New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. Now, 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in a Tony, Texas... is that supposed to say tiny? Texas suburb, but when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast, Crusader, she begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is still very much alive, and the predator's more dangerous than ever. And then she's trying to kind of like solve the mystery of her friend's death, and it's so good. And she's doing it with the true crime podcaster. It's so good. And I'm sorry that I keep saying so good. Okay, and then the last one I don't have the physical copy of because I listened to it on audio and I just haven't added it to my collection for some ungodly reason. I don't know. Okay, the last one is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, and it's funny because I just like looked through my Goodreads at all of my Alice Feeney books, and it's not even it's not my highest rated Alice Feeney book, but it is constantly on my mind. I remember listening to this while I was out shopping and, weirdly enough, but not for me, I guess, sobbing in the store while listening to it because the ending really caught me off guard. But wow. I mean, and I'm not even normally a fan of the way that this thriller went, but she did it so well. Let me see if I can read the little thingy for you. After years of avoiding each other, Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday in Nana's crumbling gothic house on a tiny tidal island. Finally back together one last time, when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then, at the stroke of midnight, as a storm rages, Nana is found dead. And an hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone's killing them one by one, the Darkers must recon with their present mystery as well as their past secrets before the tide comes in and all is revealed. The turn that this one takes was insane for me. I will say, and this happens with all thrillers, the first like 30% of it I was a little bored. Okay, now granted, again, that happens with a lot of thrillers for me because they're really just trying to, like, you know, walk you into the story and explain the whole background before they get to the, you know, thrill of the book. But wow, when the thrill hit, the thrill frickin' hit. And I was confused and I was caught off guard and I loved every single second of it. And then I didn't add these because I feel like everyone should know this by now, but the entire Sarah J. Maas universe, I think you should add to your TBR or add to your wish list or gift to anyone, because they will bring you into a whole nother world and just like type of writing that is absolutely amazing, and I will recommend it forever and ever and ever. I personally read it the A Court of Thorns and Roses series first, then the Throne of Glass series, and then the Crescent City, 2 books that are out now, and the 3rd one comes out soon. That's the order that I recommend it in. I think it's the best way to read it, but obviously literally just pick one up. Just pick one up because you're gonna love it, I promise. Okay, and that's it. I hope you have an amazing day, night, week, month, and a year. If you had to recommend a book to add to my Christmas list, my wish list, leave that down below so that I can add it to my Christmas list or my wish list. I'm always looking for recommendations and I trust you guys wholeheartedly. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, especially because we are doing Bookmas this year. I'm having the best time ever. I was so scared at the beginning, but it's not too bad so far. It's been what, 2 videos? I love ya. Goodbye, beautiful humans.